Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive session and enter into the regular session.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'll call this meeting to order then this morning, and we'll begin with the invocation by Pastor Ken Bernard from the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. And I'd like to ask our Vice Chairman, Buster Johnson, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Most merciful God in heaven, you hold in your hand all the might of men, and you have ordained powers that be for the punishment of evildoers and for the praise of them that do well. We humbly beseech you, graciously regard your servants, the governing body of this county. May all that receive the sword as your ministers bear it according to your commandment. Enlighten and defend them by your name, O God. Grant them wisdom and understanding, that under their governance your people may be guarded and directed in righteousness, quietness, and unity. Protect and prolong their lives, O God of our salvation, so that we, with them, may show forth the praise of your name. Dear God, grant your protection over all our elected officials. Energize them with a growing knowledge of their duties. Bless their working style and polish their techniques of work management. Inspire their relational skills with their constituents. Enhance the health of our elected and appointed officials and their family. Give them joy in service and patience, especially on the difficult days. Thank you for those who lead and govern us. In Jesus' holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the Board of Supervisors may by motion recess into executive session to receive legal advice from the board's attorneys on any item contained in this agenda pursuant to ARS. I'll entertain a motion at this time and action to call for an executive session to be held on September 6, 2016 at 9 a.m. for discussion and consultation with legal counsel in accordance with ARS 38-431-03A3 and 4 to discuss items noticed on the agenda with an asterisk.
So moved.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, going on to the official business to come before the board. Item number 1, discussion of pending or contemplated litigation claims and demands. I think we handled that during executive session. Item number 2, committee and/or legislative reports. Beginning with Supervisor Angus, do you have anything?
Yes, I just wanted to say that last week we got notice that the pipe at Willow Beach was finally fixed and that the trout stocking will continue. And I believe there's going to be some sort of ribbon cutting event with some of the people who were involved. And at that point, we'll thank them more and I'll let you know. So if anyone wants to come, everybody will be invited. And it's been over 2 years in the making, and we're just really thrilled that everything came together. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll definitely be there. I'm looking forward to it. Supervisor Moss, do you have anything?
None, thank you.
And Supervisor Watson
Nothing this morning.
and Supervisor Johnson.
The computer's running a little slow here. I can't seem to pull it up. If you want to give me a second, Madam Chair, maybe I can find it on another way.
Okay, do we have a county administrator's report? And then we'll come back to Supervisor Johnson.
No report today, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the July 5th, 2016 Board of Supervisors regular minute meetings.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I might be able to do it now, Madam Chair.
Okay, Supervisor Johnson.
This is an update from the National Association of Counties meetings that should have done last meeting, but I forgot about it. Anyway, we had several resolutions that I had sponsored at the convention get approved. One of them was adopted to the American County platform. and that was one that I helped draft that our board approved. And a resolution dealt with Historic Routes Preservation Act, which is a bipartisan bill in Congress right now, and that would provide an administrative means for the federal government to confirm rights-of-way on public lands administered by the Department of Interior and Agriculture. Another one that I sponsored was regarding full PIL payments to the counties, and that was also adopted on the national platform. The Public Land Steering Committee almost unanimously approved another resolution that was co-sponsored by myself in support of our uranium activities. The only other thing was I was reappointed to the vice chairman of the NACO's IT Standing Committee on Cybersecurity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now go on to the call to the public. This is the first time since I've been chairman that we have no one that has signed up to speak to the call to the public. So we'll go on to the consent agenda. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion of said items, unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and action. Beginning with Supervisor Angus, do you have anything?
Nothing this morning, Madam Chair.
Supervisor Moss?
None.
Supervisor Johnson? Nothing. Supervisor Watson?
Nothing this morning.
And I have nothing. So once again, this is the first time since I've been chairman that has happened.
Don't get used to it.
I see we have Sarah Bourne that wanted to speak on item 22. Thank you for coming. I know that was quite a drive or a flight for you. Okay, we'll go on now to, pardon?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Now on to the public hearings. I'll open the public hearing on item number 41, discussion of possible action, readoption of the Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2016-105, establishing an approximate .54 section of West Chino Drive from North Bausk to North Cross Ranch Road, and approximately .53 miles of North Cross Ranch Road from West Chino to Highway 93 as county highways located in the Golden Valley area. Okay, we do have two people that have signed up to speak on this item. Jennifer Jones, if you'd like to give us your name and address for the record, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Jennifer Jones, candidate for the Arizona House of Representatives. My address currently is La Posa North LTVA in Quartzsite, Arizona, but I close on our property Friday in Golden Valley. So this is it kind of hits home to me. I support the county taking this action. I have spent quite a lot of time driving this particular section of road, and I think it would be very helpful to have the county maintain it. I cannot actually stress enough the problems with the roads in the unincorporated areas, especially in Golden Valley. So I wanted to relate a little story to you. About 8 weeks ago, I was coming back from the London Bridge Republican Women's Meeting in Lake Havasu, and I had read on Supervisor Johnson's Facebook page that Shinnerump was open all the way across, and clearly it had been graded, so we decided that we would go through that way. And we got stuck in the Sacramento Wash about 11:30 at night for several hours. And the nice gentleman who miraculously came along in the middle of the night in his pickup truck and pulled us the last 4 feet out of the sand in the wash said to me that the fire truck had just gotten stuck there 2 days earlier. So the reason that I am passionate about maintaining some of these roads is because it does affect our first responders and their ability to get to calls in a timely manner when seconds really count sometimes. You know, there's that small window of opportunity. So having just driven the section of road in question, I'd just like to say that I'm glad to see you hopefully taking this action. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Stephen Robinson.
I'm Stephen Robinson in Golden Valley. Madam Chair, members of the board, I am going to ask that you do a continuance on this item because I have acquired more information subsequent to my presenting this proposal. And let me just give you a brief history. In 2002, thanks to North Star settlement, Chino was declared a county highway to Bosque, which, it was just about a mile, which is where I started this proposal. I have spoken, after getting the petition signatures, I had spoken to the engineer of ADOT and to one of the chief workers at ADOT, both of whom support alternatives to coming down to Highway 68 and taking a left turn. And both Mr. Stump and Mr. Martinez support all and any alternatives for the public to get to Kingman via, in this case, Chino Road and Cross Ranch Road. There is some engineering issues and there is some right-of-way issues that I'm working on. And so I respectfully request that the board will give a 2-month continuance for the purpose of resolving the issues that I believe I can get resolved, just at least on the right-of-way. This road would save a lot of people from having to go down to Highway 68 and take a left turn. It would keep the traffic speed down for the people on the north side of 68, for all the way up to as far north as Chin Lee. They would come down and be able to take this route as a way of getting into Kingman. It's a right turn only lane at the Cross Ranch Road and Highway 93 exit. I thank Ms. Jones for her support, because I think we're on the same side on this issue of having roads. So as the person who proposed this, I'm requesting that you do simply continue it to the second meeting in October, because the other road I proposed was approved by the Transportation Commission, and that was Bowie Road from Chino to Agua Fria and Agua Fria to Highway 93, which would help our fire district. In fact, that's the last point I want to make, is Chief Yeager will be here for that meeting, whenever it is, to support the Chino or both roads. He did support this road, except for the engineering concerns of the last little climb was rather steep. And I believe that there's ways of engineering around that down the road. So again, I'm just simply requesting that you continue this item for 2 months till the second meeting in October, when I believe I can get the issues resolved with the right-of-way with the owner of the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Director Lakowski. Good morning. Could you just give us a quick summary on what the Transportation Commission decided?
Certainly, Madam Chair, members of the board, this county highway petition concerns 2 roads which connect Chino Drive from Bosque Road east, and then connecting to Cross Ranch Road from Chino Drive north through US 93. Both roads are unsurfaced and maintained by Mojave County. The Transportation Commission considered this petition and did unanimously vote to recommend denial of establishing these 2 roadways as county highways. A couple of points of interest would be that Cross Ranch Road, where it ties into Highway 93, Highway 93 does not have a crossover. So any traffic approaching Highway 93 and Cross Ranch Road could not make a left turn. They would only be relegated to making a right turn on Highway 93. The system of roadways does serve the immediate eastern portion of Golden Valley, namely those residential areas that are in the immediate vicinity of these 2 roadways. However, as it relates to through traffic, the crossover issue aside, the roadway would only save about 1.7 miles in travel distance for through traffic versus through traffic remaining on the higher speed US 93 and State Route 68 routes. So with that, that is essentially some of the key points that I believe the Transportation Commission considered in their recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much. Do any of the members have any questions of Mr. Lakowski?
I do.
Okay.
I see the Transportation Commission had 3 reasons for denial, and one of them was the steep road grade at Highway 93 may require extensive engineering. Is that, in your view, a legitimate concern?
The primary concern would be the absence of the crossover. There is existing right-of-way on Cross Ranch Road extending about 560 feet north of Chino Drive. After that, where Cross Ranch actually runs adjacent to the facility, that would be the Castle Rock, the Castle Rock Restaurant. There is a existing revocable easement, so essentially there's no dedicated right-of-way that exists, just an easement allowing for ingress and egress of traffic. So with regard to the Highway 93 improvements, it primarily focuses on the crossover, establishing that, and weighing that against whether ADOT is open to such a crossover establishment versus what exists already at Agua Fria and then further north at Mineral Park Road.
I believe it was Mr. Robinson who mentioned that there's another petition pending which has been approved by the Transportation Commission but was not yet before us, which would essentially serve the same purpose. Did I understand that correctly?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Moss, exactly. There's a petition that provides for access in very much the same manner, both for local and potentially for some through traffic via Agua Fria Drive, which is an open crossover. So what's interesting with Agua Fria, and I believe we'll hear this from the Golden Valley Fire District, is that is a crossover that enables access to the Sohai area. Where Cross Ranch Road, on the other hand, without that crossover, vehicles simply couldn't turn left to head over to Sohai. So again, more of a county highway petition that focuses more on inter-neighborhood access, but the advantage with that Agua Fria is the crossover.
And my final question is, do you see any problem with just continuing this for the 60 days that I believe was Mr. Robinson requested until that other petition can be dealt with?
Supervisor Moss, we anticipate the other petition to be coming forward before the board before the 2 months if the continuance was sought. So I do see one potential advantage for the board to consider the outstanding petition that is still forthcoming before the board being able to consider and make recommendation or a decision on that, and then this item being brought back after the fact, so the board is fully informed as far as what has been considered to date.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions, comments? Okay, I have a comment then. Of course, I'm always looking at what I-11 is going to do to Mojave County roads, and I believe the preferred crossovers right now are Mineral Park Road and Agua Fria, so I really don't see a big benefit for Cross Road to be paved at this time, maybe at a future date, but I would not be opposed to paving all of Chino from one end of the valley to the other. So that's my comments on this, and the Transportation Commission did recommend denial by unanimous vote, so if there's no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we continue this for a period of up to 60 days to be heard subsequent to the alternative petition that is currently pending.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
And I'm opposed. So motion passes for continuance. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. I should have done that earlier, but I'm doing it now. So I'll open the public hearing now on item number 40. Well, actually, let me take that back. This is now going into the regular agenda, so we don't have an open meeting. Item number 42, discussion on possible action, adopt the fiscal year 2016-17 tax levies and rates for the Mojave County tax authorities, and acknowledge the tax levies for special districts, school districts, and fire districts. This is in accordance with ARS 42-17151 and 42-17254. Cora Lloyd. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and Supervisors. This step that you will be taking today will be the final formal step in adopting the full budget and the layout of that for fiscal year 16-17 for both Mojave County and Mojave County's districts, as well as all the tax authorities within the county. The attachments provided in the agenda backup has the detailed information for each of the tax authorities with the assessed value, the proposed levy that would be if 100% of the collections occurred at the rate provided by each of the jurisdictions. In several of the areas for the school districts, those school districts have often adopted both a primary rate and a secondary rate. This information does contain, again, the county, the school districts, the fire districts, and then some of the other special improvement district or lighting districts that are within the county. So at this point, I am certainly happy to take any questions or provide any further information if I'm able to do so.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Angus, do you have any questions? Supervisor Moss?
I'm just going to continue to sing Coral's praises. You do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Supervisor Johnson? And Watson?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Carl. Good job. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve item 42.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous approval. Thank you. Going on to item number 43, discussion possible action, approve and execute the cash settlement agreement with the manufacturer regarding the vehicle in question, authorizing the chairman to sign on behalf of Mojave County with the clerk of the board witnessing the same, and additionally approve and authorize the disposal of said vehicle utilizing the most cost-effective method to the county, including the option for a trade-in, coupled with settlement amount for the procurement replacement vehicle with any surplus credited to the appropriate fund for vehicle replacement. So we had discussion in executive session. I'll now entertain a motion.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for the approval and execution of the cash settlement.
I'll second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Again, unanimous. Okay, going on to item number 44, discussion on possible action authorizing the sale of Arnold Plaza located at 301 and 315 Oak Street and further identified as APN numbers 30308, 151, and 153 to the Jerry Ambrose Veterans Council for the sum of $58,500. Property to be sold as is with no warranties expressed or implied and contingent upon the execution of a hold harmless waiver for any claims or liabilities associated with said property. And I see we have Pat Farrell at the podium, so I'll go ahead and let you address the board.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak on this issue this morning. Welcome to all the commissioners, or supervisors, and the staff are here, and everybody in the audience. My name is Pat Farrell, and I am from Kingman, and I'm the president of the Jerry Ambrose Veterans Council. I know we have several veterans on the board. Thank you for your service. This plan is to help revitalize the downtown area by working as a transitional center for our homeless veterans and at-risk veterans. It is to work in concert with other efforts that are already out there, such as the West Care home down in Mojave, and the Homes for Heroes and the VASH program, which has gone from 25 to 111 vouchers for our homeless veterans. Thanks to the groups that go out and count in the PIT survey or the point-in-time surveys and count our homeless veterans. They're very much appreciated, the Mojave County Housing Authority. Our plan is to renovate the building and not tear it down. That is our first choice. It's based on a program called EEE out of Tucson, which is a very urban area, and we're going to hybrid it to fit the rural area that we do fit in. We're going to get the veterans in, and it's a hands-up program. We're not going to go out and drag anybody in there that doesn't want to be in this program. People that have been homeless for a long time, some of them really don't want help. But what is happening is, and I don't know if you saw the news, but the suicide rate is down to 20 veterans a day taking their own lives. And that doesn't count autocide, suicide by cop, or the 19 states that don't contribute to the statistics of it. And our firm belief is that these veterans, and most veterans transition very well out of the service, but some do not. Once you're trained to kill somebody and you get out and come home, it's kind of hard to turn that off. And most are able to do it, but some are not. And 2 out of 3 of your homeless veterans have some sort of mental issues, and we want to get them the help that we need. Any questions on what our program is all about?
Supervisor Angus.
Yeah, I want to thank you again for bringing this up. We've spoke about it several months ago for our CDBG program down in Mojave Valley with West Care, and the need is there. The more, the better. The more help there is for our homeless vets, and I think it's a great plan. And I wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you very much. And if you wanted to, you can give it to us for free. We're not going to argue with that particular item. But yeah, it's needed, and it's needed all over the county. And we're a countywide organization, and we plan to expand down into the Lake Havasu area as well. Okay, because there's still some few homeless veterans down in that area. So our goal is to help our veterans.
I'll say that I really appreciate your organization stepping it up, and if I could, I would give it to you for free. So,
thank you.
Supervisor Watson?
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. I really appreciate your efforts in taking care of our vets. There is one great problem that we have with that location, and that's asbestos. Have you taken the time to assess the amount of dollars it might take to abate that problem?
Yes, sir. We're working with ADEQ. Okay, I'm going to a seminar Friday in Flagstaff on how to take care of that. They will do the inspections, and there's a program called the Brownsfield Grant, which will take care of that particular thing. Like I said, we'd like to save the building first. We don't want to tear it down.
Just want to make absolutely sure that you're on top of the whole problem. Thank you very much.
I'm trying. It's like changing a hubcap at 100 miles an hour.
There you go.
So.
Good luck.
Supervisor Johnson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Whatever the county does, we must have the asbestos remediated, and that needs to be part of the contract, and Mr. Farrell understands that. So whatever decision we make today, if we go ahead with this, we must take care of the asbestos first, because the county has been stuck twice years down the road with the cleanup costs. So if we can do that and ADEQ jumps in, I'm very supportive of this, but that'd be my only concern that we need to have addressed before we sell it.
And we understand that concern, and we are working closely with them. Yeah.
Madam
All
Chair?
right, well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Madam Chair.
I'm just going to say God bless America and God bless our veterans, and I'm totally on board with this if the contract's written up like Supervisor Johnson mentioned on the asbestos, and I think this is going to complement what West Care is doing down in Mojave Valley and what the county's been doing for our veterans. So I'm on board, and like everyone else, I wish you all the luck in getting this done.
Well, thank you. This makes Mojave County the leader in rural homeless veteran services in Arizona.
And we are a rural county, so
Yes.
great. Supervisor Moss?
I have a question, because this conversation has prompted a thought, which is, of course, with a politician, always a dangerous thing. But we're getting $58,000 for this building, $58,500. We know we have an asbestos problem that could come and bite us in the butt. So would it be, the board be okay with the idea that we accept the $58,500, but we put it into a segregated account to potentially assist with the asbestos problem if this grant is not sufficient to cover it 100%? Because that would remove that liability from around our necks. It's an idea. I'm putting it out there. We wouldn't necessarily give it to them, but we'd hold it in reserve in case there is something that comes back on us.
Okay, maybe we can get some legal advice if the contract's written as such. Is that liability still on the responsibility of Mojave County? So Attorney Ekstrom, can you advise on that?
Madam Chairman, board members, ultimately, the federal government determines what's going to happen with liability and these kind of issues that we saw in a couple other cases. However, I think you need to do all you can, as Supervisor Johnson suggests, to mitigate the possibility of any liability in the county. What can you put in the contract and how you distribute the money, I think that's the board's prerogative. So you just have to decide, if you want to do that. And I believe if you want to, you can.
And Madam Chair, I think I don't think 58,000 will cover the the cleanup to begin with. It falls way short. But I think if we have the contract where ADEQ has to step forward and use the Brownfields grant to do it, I mean, I understand what Supervisor Moss says, but I think that'll all be taken care of because the contract doesn't go through because obviously they're not going to put people in there or be able to fix the building the way it is. So without the grant from ADEQ, it's pretty much a non-starter.
Yeah,
Yes.
it'd be a moot issue, yes.
Can I say something, Madam Chair?
Yeah, Supervisor Angus.
But is there a possibility of putting this into a separate account and assisting should down the road there is some surprises? So it would be sort of the county's contribution to it.
Because on that point, if I could, Madam Chair, a lot of grants that I've dealt with, for example, with the Mojave Valley Park and elsewhere, they require matching contributions. And I don't know if that's the case with this Brownsville grant or not.
No, it is not.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Hendricks?
Madam Chairman, supervisors, what Mr. Farrell has asked is that we use a portion of 11-251-9 to not go to public auction, which gives the board a lot of flexibility. You know, Mr. Farrell and the veterans have offered the monies up, and the board has, some of the board members today have made it clear that they want it as a condition, if we do move forward with this, but make it as a condition of the purchase that the asbestos be taken care of. What, just in thinking, setting here, what we could do is you could direct staff to develop a purchase agreement with Mr. Farrell's organization, and to include in that purchase agreement a condition that upon abatement of the asbestos properly, that would constitute a sale of the property, you know, and we would follow through with the actual sale at that time. That's really one way that I see that your wishes can be accomplished. Whether you ask for compensation in the tune of $58,000 or $1 is up to the board today. If you are proposing to utilize the payment for the money to benefit them, then there may not be a need for the money to change hands, and you could actually approve a sale for $1 and other considerations, and then they could utilize that money to abate the project, or you can get the 90% value of the property. It's up to the board.
As part of that statute, it has to be a unanimous vote of the board, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Madam Chairman, regardless of the dollar amount, by not going to public auction, it has to be a unanimous vote of the board.
Right. I want to remind sort of the history of this building. It was slated that the county was going to take it down at a cost of about $500,000. And we said, well, you know, maybe one day somebody will see the value. It's such a great location, and now we're seeing that. And if it were up to me, I would say, because it is such a great need here, that we do sort of give it for $1. That would be what I would want to do. I don't know if that would get through the whole of the board, but if that could happen here today, and that could make it easier and quicker for this organization to get going on the asbestos, I say let's help them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there's no other discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
Well, okay, well then I will make that motion. Excuse me?
I would read the entire motion.
Okay, so the motion is to authorize the sale of Arnold Plaza located at 301 and 315 Oak Street, and further identified as APN numbers 303-08-151 and 153 to the Jerry Ambrose Veterans Council for the sum of $1, property to be sold as is with no warranties expressed or implied, and contingent upon the execution of a hold harmless waiver for any claims or liabilities associated with the property.
And if I can clarify, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Would that also include the contingency suggested by County Administrator Hendricks that the sale would not be finalized until the asbestos is completely abated?
Right, with all of the contingents in that contract, as we discussed about the asbestos.
Including County Administrator's suggestion?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll second the motion.
Is that good? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Then I'll take a stab at a motion, Madam Chair.
Okay, since we don't have unanimous support on that, Supervisor Moss, try another.
Authorize the sale of Honor Plaza located at 301 and 315 Oak Street and further identified as APN numbers 303-08-151 and 153 to the Jerry Ambrose Veterans Council for the sum of $58,500, property to be sold as is with no warranties expressed or implied and contingent upon the execution of a hold harmless waiver for any claims or liabilities associated with the property, sale to be final upon asbestos abatement and completion of other contract terms.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. You just saved me from moving to Bullhead City.
Hoorah. Okay, going on to item number 45. Discussion of possible action, Ray, harmonizing the two conflicting definitions of kennels contained with the Mojave County Ordinance 4-01 and 4-103. Supervisor Moss, you want to take the lead on this?
Sure. There's actually three conflicting definitions because we found another one in the public health ordinances. So I really don't have a suggestion right now. Then other maybe we just follow state law. I think it's something that we should turn over to our county attorney, have them look at those conflicting definitions and see what they can do to harmonize them, keeping in mind the intent of each of those three ordinances, keeping in mind what state law reads, and keeping in eye the public referendum that passed a few years back that wanted to do away with some of the things that the county had imposed and which actually passed. So keeping in mind those objectives, I think we should have our staff and our civil attorney take a look at it, see if they can harmonize it. And this is exactly what we all ask the citizens to do when it comes to our county ordinances being put online, because I did not read these and spot the first two contradictions. It was, I believe, Jennifer Jones was the one who brought it to my attention originally. So if our citizens read the ordinances, figure out conflicting definitions, can figure out antiquated rules and brings them to each of their supervisors' attention, we can have a more cohesive and harmonious document as a whole. So I really do appreciate that. So, but
That's right. That's
I want
why
to dump it. I want to dump it on Mr. Ekstrom's lap now. Is what I want to do.
That's why we did the codification, so that we could see things like this. And I think Ms. Jennifer Jones wants to speak on that item, so if you want to approach the podium.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Jennifer Jones, La Posa North, LTVA Quartzsite, future resident, Golden Valley. Yes, I was the Executive Director of Legislative Affairs for National Dog Registry on a volunteer basis for about 10 years. So all I did for free and for fun was review changes in state statutes, county ordinances, and town ordinances. And so this particular one stuck out to me as something that could easily be dealt with. My recommendation to the board is to adopt the state definition in Title 11-1001 definitions, and further, without having had time to review the referendum that Supervisor Moss referenced, I would also encourage the board to look into adopting the provisions of Title 11-1009 kennel permit fee denial inspection violation classification. The standard statutory provisions are that counties and towns can enact stronger ordinances on animal issues than what the state law allows. It doesn't really allow them to enact anything more lax than what the state law allows. I think that the state statute in this is comprehensive, addresses the problem on a complaint basis. The definition is pretty standard, 5 dogs or more. I believe that one of the definitions the county has essentially says that, so it probably wouldn't be a big stretch on that sort of a thing. The biggest problem with animal ordinances is the cost of enforcement, especially given the size of the county. The Constitution allows that we be treated equally under the law. So county resources, I think, in my personal opinion and years of experience, are best addressed to complaint-driven issues. So, it's one of those things where if you can't enforce it in Colorado City, then, you probably can't enforce it equally under the law. But I think that the state statute is very clear and unambiguous. I don't think it's arbitrary or capricious in any way, and I would encourage the adoption of the state definition and then further look into bringing forth the provisions of the enforcement aspect of the state law upon the advice of Mr. Ekstrom and for future consideration of the board. And if anybody has any questions, I would be happy to volunteer my time to work on this issue with the county, because it's what I do, volunteer to clean up dog laws and make them easy to understand and easy to comply with. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more speaker, Mr. Stephen Robinson.
Madam Chair, members of the board, about almost 6 years ago, the board voted to
Excuse me, Madam Chair. We need your name and address for the
Steve
record,
Robinson,
please.
Golden Valley,
With your address for the record, please.
3439 North Bowie Road.
Thank you, Jenny.
In October of 2010, the board voted for two resolutions and two ordinances, 2010-12 and 2010-13. In November 6th of 2012, the first one, that was the Health Department ordinance, went before the voters, and they resoundingly defeated it. The county at that point in the spring considered 2010-13 ordinance also revoked, because it was listed as having been revoked by the board voters at that same time. And I think the conflict in the definitions came from that zoning ordinance, that the zoning ordinance mirrored the Health Department ordinance that gave proof. So when I saw that this differences between which ones were approved and which ones were voted down by the voters, I made a suggestion that 2010-13 ordinance should have been voted by this board to have been rescinded based upon the vote of the people in 2012 to rescind the Health Department ordinance. So that's why there's two different definitions, or more, as Supervisor Moss found out, is the newer one is the one that is far more restrictive. And at one point it said only 2 dogs per household. And shortly after they passed that ordinance, they changed it to 4 dogs. And that definition says even a house is considered a kennel. So I think it'd be a good idea to get rid of that definition that was based upon Ordinance 2010-12. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any further discussion before I call for a motion?
Madam Chair, am I the only one that didn't get backup on this? I don't know what.
There was no backup.
The backup is the actual ordinance itself, so I provided the citations to them, but I did not photocopy and put them to the bottom.
What, you can't remember that?
I didn't see it.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I vote that we refer to our county's attorney's department to review the conflicting definitions of kennels as may be contained within the Mojave County ordinances, which include but are not limited to 4-01 and 4-103, and keeping in mind the restrictions imposed upon us by the public with the referendum regarding number of animals that can be owned, that they come back to the board at a later date, sometime within the next 120 days or so, with a revised and more harmonized ordinance.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimous support. Going on to item number 46, discussion on possible action, adoption of resolution number 2016-107, recognizing August 25th, 2016 as the birthday of the National Park Service and celebrating 100 years of stewardship for America's national parks and engaging in communities through recreation, conservation, and historic preservation programs. Supervisor Angus, I think you have a copy of the resolution if you'd like to read it.
Before I read the resolution, I wanted to invite everybody. It is the 100th birthday, I guess, of the National Park Service, and it's the anniversary of the National Park Service. And as some of you know, there's been some road work for the past several months has been very inconvenient to some people, and everyone, thank you so much for, bearing that. But I want to read an invitation for a ribbon cutting. The Lake Mead National Recreation Area Superintendent Lizette Richardson invites you to join her in celebrating the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service and the grand reopening of the Davis Dam Road and Catherine Landing Access Road. And that's going to take place on Thursday, August 25th, 2016. More than $11 million in enhancements were made to the Catherine Landing area of the Lake Mead National Recreation Area to improve roadways, parking lots, and drainage at this very popular area of the park. And they would like you to join them as it officially marks the end of construction with a ceremonial ribbon cutting. The date is Thursday, August 25th. The event begins at 9 a.m. The ribbon cutting is at 9:20, and at 9:30 there will be a 100th anniversary cake cutting, and it will be at the intersection of Davis Dam Road and Catherine Landing Access Road at the Lake Mead National Recreation Area. And if anyone wants any other information, please feel free to contact my office, 928-758-0713. And if I may, read the resolution.
I wish you would. Thank you.
Okay, a resolution recognizing August 25th, 2016 as the birthday of the National Park Service and celebrating 100 years of stewardship for America's national park and engaging communities through recreation, conservation, and historic preservation programs. Whereas the Board of Supervisors met in regular session this 15th day of August 2016, and whereas the mission of the National Park Service is to preserve unimpaired the natural and cultural resources and values of the national park system for the enjoyment, education, and inspiration of this and future generations, and whereas Mojave County is home of 3 national park units, Grand Canyon National Park, Lake Mead National Recreation Area, and Grand Canyon Parishian National Monument, and whereas combined the 3 parks welcomed more than 7 million visitors in 2015, who contributed more than $660 million to the local economy, supporting nearly 10,000 jobs, and whereas the National Park Service's centennial goal is to connect with and nurture the next generation of park visitors, supporters, and advocates, including encouraging individuals and families to take advantage of our country's natural wonders and iconic sites as part of the Find Your Park initiative. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mojave County does hereby recognize August 25th, 2016 as the National Park Service's 100th birthday and celebrate their stewardship for America's national parks. Passed, approved, and adopted this 15th day of August 2016. I just want to ask, is there someone from the Park Service here? They said they may send somebody. Well, I guess not. So I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution number 2016-107, recognizing August 25th, 2016 as the birthday of the National Park Service.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.
I object.